Well, I think we're starting to see what life is like without physical activity. We can see that around us just generally, and people we know, and from my experience coaching children to play sport, sometimes I get children that, for example, can't sprint. So I might have a 10-year-old child and we do a warm-up and I ask them to sprint, and some of them can't do that. So I think without sport, we'd essentially, as I mentioned previously, we'd just be taking our body from one piece of technology to the next. And we might be using our mind to some extent, but our physical body just becomes a vessel that we don't use and we have no connection with, which I don't think is good. And I think in the real world, you need to have a physical aspect to your life. And even in terms of safety, just walking around the streets, you need to have some sort of physical ability to even to protect yourself, to avoid danger, all these things. So I think it would be very negative if we didn't have any sport or any physical activity at all. Obviously for health reasons, we all know that's the case. Yes, I think competitiveness can be very positive, and I think the reality is we live in the real world a competitive place where people are competing for resources, competing for many different things. So there's been a real push recently towards being anti-competitive, and some sports have tried this approach where they don't keep score and they just give medals to everyone, but I don't think that prepares you properly for the real world, and I don't think adults are playing by those same rules. I don't think you'll find too many adults out there that are just trying to be fair with you all the time. So I think we all need to learn how to be competitive to get the things we want in life, and that doesn't need to be negative. You don't need to push someone else down to achieve what you want to achieve, but I think you need to have a mentality and an approach that you are going to compete for what you want. Well, most of the time when I see a child give up a sport that they once enjoyed, it was because the parent was doing some strange things, either being a helicopter parent and being there too much, or being too serious, being too critical, and taking the fun out of it. Because once a child stops having fun with something, they stop doing it. So really what we're trying to do is we're trying to make, if they do take to a sport and they do start to enjoy playing tennis, we need to make that the most fun thing they do. As a parent, you just need to make that very fun. That's the best way that they can improve as well, because they'll want to do it all the time. So as a parent, your job is to just make sure they enjoy it as much as possible. I think we sometimes look at the father of Tiger Woods or the father of the Williams sisters and we think that maybe that's the best approach to create a sports person, but most of the time that approach fails, and more often than not it's actually parents that just encourage their children that get the best results.